Welcome back to Jessie Talks with the hashtag It Girl, because I know it, have it, or can get it. Today's guest is Kristen Southworth. She is a local estate attorney here in Orinda with Southworth and Chaves. So welcome, Kristen. Thanks so much for being on the show today. And why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about you?
Well, thanks for having me today, Jessie. Well, my name is Kristen Southworth, and I have a very small trust and estates firm in Orinda. I have one partner, Nola Chaves, and basically what we do is we help people put in place an estate plan. We help people with trust administration and probate administration after a loved one passes away. Our office is right around the corner from Pete's in Orinda. It's homey. We have a dog in the office, and it's very relaxed when people come in. So that's basically what we do. Why we started? Well, I'm a mom, and so I wanted to have a business that allowed me to be a mom when my kids are younger. Now that my kids are older, I've been able to put more time and energy into the business and also nurture it in the way that I nurtured my kids.
That's wonderful. Establishing a trust. So we have trusts, we have wills, you talked about probate. So these are all terms that many of us have probably heard. Tell us what establishing a trust means.
So the reason people would establish a trust in California is because it allows them to avoid probate. And there are reasons to do that. So my basic rule of thumb is if you own a home in California, even if you're paying off the mortgage, you should have a trust. Because in California, if you have $150,000 of assets, and it doesn't matter whether there's a mortgage or it's a loan, just the gross value of your assets are $150,000, you'll be probating those assets unless you have a trust, or unless if they're not beneficiary designated, which means a 401k or an IRA, so long as you've put your beneficiary designations, those also are exempt from probate. But if you own a trust, you want that asset. Or if you own a home, you want that asset in a trust. And what it allows you to do, a trust functions two ways in California. It functions while you're alive because you're managing your assets in that trust. So once you put your home or an investment account in the trust, it's basically managed by the trustee, which would be you. So you're still paying your mortgage, paying your taxes the same way you would as if it weren't in a trust. But if something happened to you, let's say you become incapacitated for some unexpected reason, your successor trustee, whether it's a spouse, a friend, a family member, can step in and seamlessly begin managing those assets so they can pay your taxes on your property, pay your mortgage insurance, those kinds of things with your house. And then once you pass away, the trust functions as a will, if you will. It tells your trustee how to distribute your estate. So if you have a home and 3 children and you want it to be divided 3 ways, basically you put that in the trust. So those are some of the reasons why you would want a trust. And why you would want a trust over probate. You want me to go ahead and answer that right now?
Yeah, I was going to say, when you say probate, you say it as if it's a bad word.
It's yes, and in some ways it is, because probate is expensive and it's time consuming. So let me give you an example. We have clients right now. We're probating their mother's home because she never put it in a trust. So the home is sold. It was sold for, slightly under $1 million. Now, if it had been in a trust, those assets, once it was sold, we would have been able to start distributing those assets right away to her sons, the beneficiaries. Instead, this home sold in January of this year. I would be surprised if we will be able to distribute those assets much before October or November of this year. Because of court dates. You have to file a petition. Everything has to be correct. Once you file the petition, your court date routinely in the Bay Area is 4 months out.
So let's talk about probate costs, because aside from the time delay, there's costs that are involved when the assets go into probate. And let's talk about that cost versus the cost to actually establish a trust.
Right. So in probate, the fees are fixed by statute. So the attorney that you get to help you, now of course you don't have to have an attorney, but let me just say, even as an attorney, probate is tricky. In each county, it's a little bit different. The examiners are a little bit different. There's all sorts of forms that you have to file. All your I's have to be dotted and your T's crossed. So the fees are fixed by statute on the gross value of the estate. So let's say that your house is valued at $750,000 and it sells at $750,000. I think that the attorney, I don't have this all memorized, but I'm pretty sure that for a $750,000 estate, the fees would be between $15,000 and $18,000 for the attorney, and the executor is entitled to the exact same amount.
Wow.
That doesn't include, right now in California, to file a petition for probate, it's $465. You have to file that. You have to publish the person's death. That can run between $150 and $300 depending on the publication. And then to get the assets distributed, it's another petition at $465. So just getting into court is going to cost you $1,000, and then the fees are thousands of dollars more.
Yeah, so we're in the neighborhood of about $40,000 and change, according to those numbers. What is the cost to what is the general cost to establish a trust?
A trust, you could probably establish anywhere between, it really depends on how complicated your trust is. So some people do a flat fee, and for a married couple, I would say a flat fee could range between, $2,000 and $5,000. So that's much less. Now, let me just also say though, that that the administration, after someone dies, you're probably going to want an attorney to help you with that. But that usually is much less work than a probate, and the fees are much less. You're just going to be sending out notices and helping the trustee as much or as little as they want with respect to administering the trust. And those fees, again, are quite variable, but I would venture to say that if you were just talking about selling a house, your fees would probably be in the neighborhood of a few $1,000s.
Yeah, good information. So we've established here that establishing your trust definitely is going to save money so that your property doesn't go into probate.
Right.
It saves time and the assets can be distributed in a more timely fashion. I like what you talked about, and this is something that I don't really talk about to my clients, and I forget that while they're living, the trust is actually valuable to them in the event, like you said, they become incapacitated, so that their bills can continue to get paid and someone can act on their behalf. And so that's definitely something that I think that we're not always cognizant of. We think of a trust and will as the final. So let's talk about the final a little bit, because one of the things that I like to tell my clients is that by establishing your trust and your will, your final wishes, you're actually gifting your family peace of mind. So,
it is. So let me just say a full estate plan, so that when we talk about the final, why a full estate plan would be so helpful to your family. In addition to the trust that functions while you're alive if you become incapacitated and then says exactly what needs to happen once you pass away, there's another document that's really important. Everyone should have this, no matter whether they have any assets or not, and that's a power of attorney. Because it's true, if you have a trust, the trustee can step in and manage assets. But the trustee, there's lots of things that are not in your trust. For example, your health insurance. Who can speak to the health insurance if you've had a stroke and you're trying to figure out who's going to pay for what, and somebody needs to advocate with the health insurance? That's going to be your agent under your power of attorney. So it's critically important that people have that. And one reason that it will set your relatives' mind, especially adult children, at ease is that if you don't have that and you become incapacitated, what your children will have to do is they will have to go to court and get a conservatorship over you. So for example, we had an adult child come in, and her parent was becoming more and more incapacitated. And unfortunately, when she brought the parent in, he really didn't know who she was anymore.
Oh.
And so we couldn't execute the power of attorney because the parent no longer had capacity.
Wow.
And what that meant for that adult child is there was nothing in place for an alternate decision maker to speak on his behalf. So that's when people have to go to court. So let me just say that you can put your relative's mind at ease, both by having documents that function while you're alive, which is your trust and your power of attorney, and documents that function after you pass away, that explain, I want my assets divided up. And what happens, for example, if you have an heir who becomes special needs? Well, we might have in a trust that the trustee can set up a special needs trust for that person so it doesn't kick them off public benefits. Or what happens if you have an adult child who passes away? We'll have in the trust, it goes to their children if they have children. So we can, in a trust, we don't have a crystal ball, but we can draft for as many contingencies as possible in the way that you want them drafted. So it's really giving voice to your wishes.
Excellent. I love that you're able to help people through what could be one of the most difficult times. It's definitely, like I said, something I communicate to my clients when I'm doing their insurance review. I always end my appointment with, do you have your trust in place? Most people don't want to think about the end of life, but I love that you've introduced how it can actually, the document functions while they're alive. So that's actually more probably a positive spin on that trust. And I'm so happy that you shared that because I'm going to be able to share that with my clients. So wonderful information. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Why don't you tell our viewers where they can reach you?
I will, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. So it's Kristen Southworth. Our phone number at Southworth and Chaves is 925-252-8320, and our website is southworthchaves.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being with us today. Don't forget to subscribe to Jessie Talks on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Jessie Benuelos Insurance. And we look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye.